You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rolinson. I'm joined by Matt Kendrick and James Rushton above me, up there somewhere. Thanks to everyone for tuning in this afternoon or this evening, tonight. Oh, I'm all over the place already. It's a great start to the podcast. Newcastle 1, Villa 1. I was prepared to say Newcastle 0, Villa 1. All sorts going on. It's a weird game. First 80 minutes, boring. Last
you want to
wasn't. I was getting ready to come on in, but yeah, Nick to win, undeserved, don't care. Let's just take it. 3 points, massive. Let's move on. And now I've got to reset and talk about a boring draw again.
Do you want to do any spoilers for your dad, James, in case he hasn't caught up yet?
Oh yeah. So before we came on the recording, my dad called me and we was talking. He goes, "Oh, I know you got to do the podcast, but just Villa have just scored. I'm a few minutes behind, so it's about now that Newcastle have just scored on his recording, and he was really happy. So tough luck.
Yeah, so if you hear that loud banging in the Sutton Coldfield area, that's James's dad sticking his foot through the door. So like Villa fans across the land and across the world tonight, because it was, I think a draw was fair, wasn't it?
Over the just a nothing
balance
game.
of play, it was just flat, wasn't it? Just tepid, really. It was just Aston Villa without Jack Grealish again, which, you know, it's something that's going to become a common theme. Yeah, because we just don't. You know, I know we conceded in the dying throes of the game, but I don't think defensively we looked that troubled. You know, I think Newcastle even probed and pushed quite a lot, didn't they, first half, and we stood up quite strong to it. But attacking wise, we just devoid of ideas, aren't we, and creativity, and it's becoming a real issue now.
How do we fix that without Jack, James? If we're without him for however much longer it is. Again, we've heard all that. Oh, well, you know, might be back for here, might be back for there. Then it's well, he probably would have been back this week when he was ill. It's like, that sounds like an excuse to me. If he is back next week, then obviously this talking point is redundant. But if he's not, how do we improve without Jack Grealish?
Just need to be as instinctive as Jack Grealish is. You know, there's too much second guessing going on in the defence. I think Tyrone Mings played like a ball back, and Al Mohammadi didn't even. He was like, "Oh, should I run for that?" It's like, "Yeah, you should be instinctive. Go for it." When Ross Barkley and Watkins had the break, make the pass first time. Don't think about it. You guys are, you know, you're playing for a top 10 Premier League side. Go for it. Be instinctive. With Jack Grealish, we are fluid and instinctive. Without him in attack, too much. It's like too much pondering, too much trying to figure it out. It's not as fluid anymore, and unless players are willing to gamble on being instinctive, it's going to be hard. It's going to be stuff like that, because look, you saw how dangerous we could be on a break. We were clean through right at the death, because of second guessing, because of fiddling around with a chance too much. Nothing happens, and we end the result not 2-0 up. We're at 1-1. You know, it created the rod for our own back, so it's really, really, really frustrating. And all we can do is keep going on and on through this process, I guess, because things don't change quickly in football, do they?
We've talked a lot of positive things about Ollie Watkins on this podcast, and there's a lot of comments coming through tonight saying that how poor he was, how often he gave the ball away, how often he couldn't trap the ball. Somebody said that even the goal was just hit off him, which I think is a little bit unfair. I actually think it's a good header that obviously it's deflected in, but it's good movement to get down there. Whatever. Is he as bad as people are saying in the comments, or is it just one bad game or a couple of bad games? Is it even a bad game? I don't even know.
I think he was poor. I think he was poor tonight. Obviously, you know, he's played better in recent weeks and not got the goal.
Wasn't everybody though?
It looks like the dubious goals committee won't give him that either, and that'll go to Kieran Clark, giving it the old Evo stats. But I did think he was poor. I thought that the ball was kind of bouncing off him. I thought he couldn't get it under control. I mean, I think we should cut him some slack, because he's had a fairly kind of lonely slog of a few weeks, hasn't he? Really, without Jack Grealish. So yeah, I think he was below his usual standards, but he wasn't the only one, was he? You know, the first half, you know, Newcastle kind of dominated Villa at times, didn't they? And pegged them back. And you thought, this is a Newcastle team that are kind of, you know, hovering above the trapdoor of relegation. You know, nobody likes the manager up there. Nobody likes the owner up there. There's infighting and civil war at the training ground. And yet they're coming out and kind of pinning us back. And, you know, Joe Linton's turned into kind of Alan Shearer and started bullying Tyrone Mings. You're thinking, what kind of parallel universe is this? And you just think, we know Jack Grealish is important. We know he sets the tone. We know he inspires those around him. But you're all professional footballers. You're all highly paid athletes who are well drilled in your jobs. You've got to just stand up and be better than it. And listen, Villa does that take us how many points is that? 41, is it, or something?
I think so, yeah.
So we don't need to kind of be too doom and gloom, because, the point that we got at Newcastle last season was very, very important. That one, we can just kind of stick it in the back pocket and just move on. But it's not just tonight's performance, is it? It's Villa's struggle to score goals. I know, James, I should really be saving the stats for AVFC Extra, because it's not normally my domain, but 9 goals in 13 games now. That's more in keeping with a Paul Lambert season in the Premier League, or an Alex McLeish season in the Premier League. And I know that our figures are slightly inflated by smacking 7 past Liverpool and so on, and 3 at Arsenal earlier in the season. But those strutting performances seem a distant memory now, don't they?
Yeah. I was thinking, if this match goes 0-0, that's Sheffield United, Wolves, Newcastle, where you haven't scored a goal, and yeah, you may have looked like scoring a goal, but you haven't actually scored one. As we know, it's the actual goals that do matter to us fans. But the attacking side of Villa's game, I was thinking, if you tuned in as a neutral, thinking all season people have been going on about Villa being this fluid attacking team, this really bright spark. If you'd have watched that, you'd be like, "What? Really? Is this what attacking football is? Is this the fluidity that I've been promised?" No, they're having a bit of a slump at the moment. But look, like all slumps, should end at some point, whether that's when Jack Grealish comes back, as it should do, or beforehand. But right now, it just looks like they're really struggling with those attacking decisions. So something needs to change, whether that's the players themselves be better at making the decisions, or a formation change, or roles being changed. I don't think there's a quick fix for this, bar one of the best players in the world coming back into the team. But that's the position we're in.
Yeah. What do we listen? I don't think we will fix it in an instant while Jack Grealish is out of the team. But I don't want to be too far ahead. But it's got to be recruitment, hasn't it? Because we know that we need a centre forward who can score goals and not just be a presence as we've got with Keenan Davies. But we also need somebody to be what Ross Barkley hinted at being a few months ago, and to have that kind of attacking verve and energy, as the link man between the kind of defensive unit and attack. And I don't think we've got that. Well, it's pretty clear that we haven't got that within our ranks at the moment.
Isn't that supposed to be John McGinn?
Wish I had an answer for you, because he's on the pitch and he's, whether he plays good or bad, it doesn't really affect anything. But again, it still comes down to that last chance we had for me. We could have been clean through, and we should have been, and it's just too much prattling around and not taking the chance. And we scored probably the hardest chance we had, which is unbelievable. Ollie Watkins low header in off Kieran Clark's, and when we're clean for on goal. I know Dubravka, as fine of a keeper as he is, should be making a fist of that, a real fist of that, when we are 3-on-1 or 3-on-2. It's madness.
Matt, you mentioned earlier just about alternative reality that we seem to be living in. I felt like I fell asleep for the first 80 odd minutes of the game. It was so dull. It's just, I don't know what it is sometimes. This poor place to be saying it on a Villa podcast full of Villa fans, but I was like you said at the start, I felt like I was on my phone more often than not. I was cheese board this evening. I felt like I was dipping into that.
That says more about you though, Dan.
Yeah, really, I know that, but
I was exactly at the time, to be honest.
But football is an entertainment thing. I want to be entertained by what I'm seeing, and tonight the whole first half was just boring. I don't know what the point of anything we tried to do was. I felt like I woke up at 80th minute and Kieran Clark scores for Villa, and I feel like I've transported back to 2013. It's just weird. It's just a weird game, and even when we scored and after the equaliser, there was nothing. I didn't really feel anything. Is that
just be grateful you weren't transported back to 2010, because Andy Carroll had just bullied Kieran Clark and scored a hat-trick and we lost 6-0. But I think it's what James was getting at before, that it's so predictable and kind of robotic, and there's nothing off the cuff. And listen, that predictable kind of roboticness, is that a word? That helps defensively because you're rigid and you're solid and you're disciplined. But that doesn't work in attacking areas. You've got to stretch teams, you've got to turn teams, you've got to get balls into forward areas before they're set. But like James says, if you're plodding and you're second guessing yourself and you're doubting yourself, taking an extra touch, Premier League teams will be wise to that. Will be able to set up to stop that. I don't know. Listen, we're at a bit of a crossroads, aren't we? I was trying to think of an analogy earlier about how we've flatlined, and the only thing I can think of, and it would require another peak at the end of the season. You know, Hello Kitty's ears, where they go sharp point, and then it gets flat, and then a sharp point again. And I think we've got to the flat part of Hello Kitty's head. I've had
you mean like the double cut on sombrero? Like,
I was just going to say, how much have you had to drink tonight?
Not enough.
Yeah. We've talked, I mean, somebody in the comments as we started this, literally just as we started, saying, I love watching the podcast. It always makes me feel better about it again. I feel like I've just slumped into my chair more and more as we've gone on. 10 minutes in, I feel more depressed than ever. There's a lot of talk about plan B, plan A, what's Dean Smith tactics, what are Villa trying to do, what are they without Jack Grealish, etc., etc. First of all, James, is there such thing as a plan B in football anyway, or are you just supposed to be playing the set, not the set way all the time, but Dean Smith's got a style of play he wants to play. You don't just switch that up and try plan B for the sake of it. But clearly when things aren't going right, there must be some kind of tactical nous to think, let's change it somehow. But I'm not a football manager, and Dean Smith is, so surely I have to trust the process of what's going on.
Yeah, I think those words you mentioned, trust the process, is key. Look, we don't want to pull out that. It's a very well used word, particularly by Arsenal fans. But again, I think it goes for us. Trust the process. We are moving in the right direction in general. It's been a wobble. Like, the journey for Villa has not been straight. But you look at for 3 or 4 years, the progress we've made has been incredible. It's just this slump now that we have to arrest, and I think that brings out the plan B stuff. I saw a really, really interesting interview. I forgot the bloke's name. It's the MK Dons manager.
Was it me talking to Steve Hunt? That one.
No one's watched that, mate.
But he mentioned that, why would I have a plan B to kind of nick the odd 3 points here and there when Russell Martin, when we're set on an identity and playing a certain way and getting better at that certain way of playing. So why would I change it? If you're outcome based, you are swinging to and fro. You're swinging your path to and fro based on, games against Newcastle, which are dodgy games against, Wolves and Sheffield United, games where you haven't got your key player. You're swinging your outcome all over and, disrupting the journey you're on. But I do get the fact that situationally, when you're playing against Newcastle and they're chucking, 9 men forward into your box in the 90th minute and you're not clearing your lines, it's less of a plan B. You just need to adapt to that exact situation, which is something Villa very clearly failed to do today. Stunned into silence, lads.
I thought Matt was going to say something.
I asked this last week on Twitter when I had a drink on a Friday night. Why does beer taste better out of a can and out of a bottle? Is there something chemical in it? Because Coca-Cola for me tastes better out of a glass bottle than it does out of a can.
Yeah.
But these little kind of craft beers that are kind of easing me into the weekend, they taste much better out of a can than a bottle.
I'm drinking out of a bottle though. I prefer this out of a bottle.
Can you get Corona in a can?
Probably not. Well, you can get Corona all sorts of ways these days. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. I think cider is better out of a bottle than out of a can. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what were you saying about football?
It's a lot of call for Louis Barry to.
Is there though? What?
So I don't disagree necessarily. I just think the last 3 games Villa have played have been teams fairly pragmatic in different kind of ways. Louis Barry and especially Ollie Watkins thrive running off the shoulder. I was thinking today, how much space would Louis Barry have to run off into against Newcastle playing that line? Like 4 centimeters? Like, they're not playing like, it's not like Liverpool who are like pressing you up the other end of the pitch. So there are reasons why we struggle to break down these teams, because we thrive on that break. As you saw at the end, our best chance is that break, and against teams who are willing to play that attacking game, we ain't going to have that much luck.
I think Barry brings some unpredictability and some raw potential, I guess. But despite Ollie Watkins being a young striker, he's clearly more experienced. He's struggling at the moment because of the system we play and because of that lack of creativity, the lack of confidence. Someone just said that, Dean Smith says that we lack confidence going forward. I don't think the personnel is the problem up front. I think it could be Watkins or any other, and we'd still be struggling to put those chances away because we're not putting ourselves into those areas, I think.
Yeah, there's almost no space against these teams for a player like Barry to. I think as a bench option, why not?
For a few minutes, but he's not going to suddenly start winning Villa games as a 17-year-old. They're just not physically ready, I don't think.
No, what we want from Villa, though, isn't it? Do we want Villa to fit? Well, the sweet spot, the Venn diagram that works for us is that they've got that little bit where Villa are accumulating points every week, but that it crosses that bit where they're being entertaining. Now, I'm not sure Villa are capable of both of those things without Jack Grealish. So, will a successful end to the season, will it be that Villa adopt a bolder approach and try and throw caution to the wind a little bit more, even if it means that they kind of win 1 and lose 2? Or will it have to be this kind of stodgy kind of, let's be grown up and professional about this and keep accumulating those points? Because, unless Villa crack into Europe, the differences between the league placings is not going to make or break them financially. Yeah. But I can't see. I think we're going to be stuck with this, to be honest. And I still think with the players that Dean Smith's got and the system that they play, I think if there is confidence in there and they do start kind of throwing off the shackles a little bit more, then we could still see some entertainment. But I don't think Smith's he's not the type of bloke. He doesn't swing from one thing to the next and make that massive changes. Like I mentioned Lambert earlier. Lambert would kind of change from one week to the next. He'd go long 1 week and then he'd go and watch Pep Guardiola's Barcelona training, and he'd start Brad Guzan and Alan Hutton playing 1-2s on the edge of the box. Smith's got a way of playing, and he doesn't deviate from that very often at all. I still don't think he will. So we just need one of these Jack Grealish injury updates to actually deliver some positive news, don't we?
Be true.
What is going on with these injury updates, man?
I said, I tweeted earlier, it's a kind of masterclass in GDPR, the way that they're refusing to break that confidentiality clause about Jack Grealish's health. But I don't know. Villa can do as they please, and the manager and the way they communicate can do as they please. And I understand in a kind of mind games, psychological kind of way why they don't want to show their hands to opposition managers and forthcoming opponents. But just come clean. Just tell us how serious it is or otherwise, and give us an idea of what we've got to look forward to or not look forward to. I don't know. Perhaps that's just me being too needy and wanting. Please tell us something. Please tell us.
People in the comments saying Gareth Barry was ready as a kid. Wayne Rooney played in the Premier League at 17, etc., etc. These names that get popped up that he was ready. Is that a fair argument for the Lou Barry thing to say? Well, if they're good enough, they're old enough.
Stick him on the bench, can't you?
Yeah,
what's the harm?
Yeah, but that's not what people are saying. People are saying, start games, play 2 up top, and we'll start winning.
I don't think it's Ollie Watkins' fault though. That
that was my point.
You know what I mean? That's where I agree. Like Louis Barry is a bench option, why not? But what's Ollie Watkins not doing that Louis Barry's just going to go, all right, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. He's been injured, hasn't he? That's the thing that in recent weeks anyway, he's been injured, which is why he's not been involved. Yeah, maybe he should be on the bench, but I don't know. At this point, part of me just feels like I don't care. Because I don't think people are saying forget the European spot and all that kind of thing, and I tend to agree. I don't think we're good enough to make that step up. I know you can't just throw it away and throw away optimism, but we're not going to go down. we're probably not going to get into Europe. So it feels like things are just fizzling out a little bit.
Yeah.
I saw who I think is one of Villa's shrewdest social media commentators the other day, Alex Berwick, he's done blogs and stuff for us before, and I always kind of think he's a really good barometer of critical when you need to be critical, but, you know, bigger picture, wider context, stuff like that. And, you know, he made the really valid point that if Villa would have done this season in reverse and we'd have had a really sticky, stodgy start to the season, and then all of a sudden we'd have kind of, you know, battered Arsenal, battered Liverpool and done it like that, then obviously it would have been looked at differently. So, you know, over the course of the season, Villa will be safe. We won't get relegated this season. We'll have made progress from last season. So that's success, or that's progress in that way. But it's this expectations now. This is why, and you know, we've been dug out a couple of times saying, yeah, but are we not allowed? You know, we crap fans if we slag off a performance. Of course, you're allowed to slag off a performance, and I thought tonight's performance was pretty dire, to be honest, pretty flat and pretty desperate. But it's kind of, I don't know, what is the real Villa? Is it the Villa that we're playing with this swagger early in the season? Is it this one that seems devoid of ideas and lacking confidence, creativity? I think it's somewhere in the middle. But we seem to kind of lurch from one to the next.
Why is that? Is there anything you can put that down to? 1 minute you're looking at players thinking, oh, they look like world beaters, they can do anything, and then the next minute they can barely string a pass together. Why does that happen?
I don't know, they're human, I suppose. And, you know, they're not. Yeah, they're still Aston Villa, newly promoted or one season in the Premier League. Players, lots of them, very good players with potential, with, you know, sell-on potential or real kind of potential to be absolute superstars in the Premier League and stuff. But they're still new to it. You know, I don't want to just kind of point to them for the sake of it, but look at the champions from last season who actually been rolling teams over for the last couple of years, and you know, they're still the same players. They're still quality players. You know, take a couple of people out of their team, and they look like a pale imitation. So I don't know. It's just frustrating, isn't it? It's just frustrating. I mean, I suppose the good thing about it is, well, it's either on a Friday night, it means that you can crack on with the rest of your weekend, or it means that it ruins the rest of your weekend. Well, I'm not sure where I am with that.
It's interesting that you say that. There's a few comments saying in that, ruined my weekend already, ruined it earlier than usual on a Friday night rather than a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday evening. Does it ruin your weekend, the Villa results, if it's a bad one? Or does it make your weekend if it's a good one?
Just coming on here, chatting to you, ruins my weekend, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
I remember... this was ages ago now, wasn't it? When Glenn Whelan scored for Stoke against us, and it just wrecked our season. I think
you need to get over that, really, don't you?
that's just an example of it like properly ruining like the week. And when we had stuff to really, really, really fight against, not fight for, but fight against, like relegation or dropping out of the playoffs. You know, when we had something and then you don't get the result you want, like you're fuming. But I always still think like I had it in my head set on a certain position this season in a prediction. So it's almost like I'm still floating around in this airy-fairy like bonus zone going, oh, whatever. And that's not the way the majority of obviously supporters feel. But I still think, you know, I'm still probably like deludedly like optimistic about everything that has gone on. So I still can't it just doesn't ruin my weekend anymore because it's not like last season where people just wanted you to say we're down just so they could kind of confirm it before it was actually confirmed, because they wanted to kind of, you know, cut the cord with the Premier League and just get it over with. But didn't work like that, did it? We fought to the end. And
it's a bit like thing, isn't it, James, at the moment? It's a bit like
what's coming next, man.
It's a bit like, you know, in Coronation, where they just repeat the same plots all the time, and there's no really outstanding storyline. There's just kind of steady plots ticking along. And you haven't got a kind of, what was it, Pat Phelan, the big villain, a couple of years ago, or Richard Hillman, who drove a car into Canal. We need some kind of cliffhangers, and we haven't got that drama at the moment. So I think
we're too young for Corrie, mate. We're too young to be watching Coronation Street.
You're joking? What you don't watch Emmerdale then?
I don't watch any soaps, mate, because I'm not a 50-year-old man.
I'm not a 50-year-old man.
Pretty much.
Oh.
There's a comment here. I mean, it's such a common name. It's made me laugh anyway. From Dean Smith on Facebook. Who says, yes, it ruins the weekend. I don't know if that's the Dean Smith. If it is, mate, I'll crack on with your team talk.
Yeah, mate, you got more things on your plate than your weekend, buddy.
Dean, when's Jack back?
Yeah, if you can let us know, Dean, that'd be great.
The doctors aren't telling him, apparently. Supposed to be guarded secret.
If Dean Smith on Facebook replies back with an injury update and we put it on screen and we can tweet it and be like, "Oh, Dean Smith says this," and people will believe that. There's a few people saying,
it's such a rare name as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so rare. People say you wait all week for the game, so it ruins it. Someone else says it doesn't ruin it because there's more to life than football. Someone says that you look like Pat Phelan. Again, don't watch Corey, so I don't understand the reference. If he's a bald man, then yes, there's a chance he looks like you. Yeah, someone says if football ruined my weekends for the last 10 years of my life, would have been a right old misery. It doesn't bother me really. Like you said, James, if there's something riding on it and you're going for a league title or about to be relegated, then yeah, obviously it puts a right down on everything. But drawing a game to Newcastle, yeah, it was a bit deflating the way it happened, but it's got us from 40 points to 41. We move on. I've pretty much already forgotten about it.
Yeah, it's probably
such a plastic. You're supposed to be laying it on thick heads. People in tears in the comments. Nah, don't man. I'm going for a run, and I might have a curry tomorrow night. So I couldn't really care less, to be honest.
I mean, I do care. I'm not saying I don't care about the results, because that's going to make me look bad. But it just doesn't affect me in the way that I'm going, oh, it's going to ruin my weekend now on a Friday night.
There's me and James here who are really feeling it, kind of real kind of everyman qualities. And there's you with your cheese board.
You're not really feeling it. You're exactly the same as me. Before we start this, you're going, I can't really bother to do this podcast. So don't you come on here and start saying that I'm not a proper fan.
No, I've been anaesthetised by courtesy of vocations, pride and joy.
Oh, okay, fair enough. It's just a couple of things I also wanted to chuck in. Someone says, you guys have no emotions, no passion. Win, lose or draw, you do laugh. Worst Villa fans.
I'll have you know.
So
UK.
I've got somebody whose name is a postcode accusing me of not having any emotions. Oh yeah, you've got a sparkling personality, B6 UK.
All right, mate.
Well, he wants passion. If
you want passion, we go back through a guy's comments, and if he's slacking off Alan Hutton, no passion there, is there? It goes both ways.
Well, move on. What I was going to mention at the start of the game, or the punditry rather, they were talking about just a really annoying cliche that I hate. So I wanted to ask what your worst football cliches were. I know there's a whole football cliche podcast out there that I've seen doing the rounds at the moment. But they talk about when Grealish is out, you expect more from the Barclays, the Trezeguets, the Traorés, the Watkinses, the whoever's. They always
Manchester United's, the Arsenal.
Yeah. You should be beating the Newcastles of this world and the Sheffield Uniteds of this world. That I don't know why that just really annoys me. I understand it if you're like, oh yeah, Barkley's out, Grealish is out, so you expect the Barclays of the Villa side to do more. I kind of understand that because it's like the attacking players to do more. If you're then going to list the rest of the side, just say Barclays to do more, Trezeguet to do more. I don't know why we pluralise names in punditry and commentary. Really annoying.
Matt do that loads.
I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get our mate Darren Fletcher on there tonight.
Yeah.
Don't really rate the Adam Summertons of this world. But yeah,
it just annoys me. Like what you've said before. Like in club statements when football clubs capitalise club.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that B6 724. I hate capital the word club.
That's it to me. That's a nothing thing. So we've all got these small little annoyances. So I just wondered if you've got a football commentator's annoyance.
I've got two, but
go on.
One is it goes into this passion stuff and the ruining your weekend stuff. It's not necessarily commentators. It's more so new football media, and it's just pretending to be so outraged by a football result, or the theatrics of losing to Burnley and pretending and smashing stuff on camera. It's not how anyone reacts. The only time the only time I remember anyone actually smashing stuff at a football match was when me and my dad, when Blues came back to the Premier League and we got battered, and Malberg chucked the ball past Enkelman and it went in, and someone flipped the table in the Bell pub in Great Bar, and I had to get carried out because it's my first football game.
How old are you then? 18?
I was I was 12. I was 12, 10 10.
Wow.
So 10 years old. So it gets smuggled out because it got a bit violent in there, to be fair. But it's just a fake outrage, and I think it dominates so much of stuff right now.
What are you eating, Matt?
Galaxy.
Oh, nice. Yeah, decent.
Just hoping a bit of product placement will get me some freebies. Hairbrush.
You don't need that, do you? There's a comment coming that I also agree with, and I say, I mean, this is probably our podcast description here, to be honest. Rich Law says, Dan, I don't like the repetitive comments such as Emmy's played every minute, Watkins runs everywhere, Jack's missing, Constable Mings possibly for England. The last time we played Newcastle there was a Diaboya fight. 4 more times today we heard those kind of things. I feel like everything social media related I've done today is that kind of stuff, so I'm probably guilty of the same thing. But yeah, you always hear that from the commentators and the pundits that don't know the club, so they'll always try out the same kind of lines.
They'll always do the thing you want, won't they? They'll always do the Dean Smith, whose dad used to work as a steward. They took a variation of the theme today, didn't they? About how Pat Hurd had him babysitting and took the European Cup home. But I just wish they'd throw random things in, like, you know, look how crap his hair is tonight, and don't you think Matt Targett's got a face a bit like someone's nan? Do you know what I mean? I just wish they'd kind of vary it up a bit. It's all a bit kind of samey, which is worse when the performance is samey as well. And it's just all a bit flat and boring, like our podcast.
Yeah, as if I've just snorted on the podcast.
What about? I think that a few listeners would say Matt's commentary is saying kind of every.
We can kind of stuff, can't we?
Every 4 seconds.
Also, there's a lot of mentions in the comments of him like just looking around the room when he's talking, or like having his head in his hands.
Who, me?
Yeah, we get that a lot sometimes.
There's a good one from Adam Archer. Dan, it's the same as you saying Matt has no hair in every podcast.
Yeah.
We say that every podcast.
He's got a big fat bald head. I just want people to know. Don't forget, there's some people that only listen to this. They might not know what Matt Kendrick looks like. So just imagine like a shaved owl. That's exactly what he looks like.
Imagine Pat feeling out of Corrie, circa 2016.
Yeah.
Are we done now? Because this is more nonsense than ever.
Yeah, there was actually one more bit of nonsense I just wanted to chuck in before we left. They mentioned at some point, again on the commentary, they must have gone on Wikipedia for a little bit of info. It's Dean Smith's birthday next week, and he's 50.
Happy birthday, Dean.
Oh, I'd watching Corrie with me, wasn't he?
Not yet. 19th of March, I think it was. If you had to buy Dean Smith a birthday present, what would you get him?
Probably get him a new Facebook profile picture, to be honest.
Yeah, good.
A centre forward.
Yeah, good.
Some private healthcare to use with the Villa players so we can know what's going on with them.
Yeah, good. I wish I had thought of an answer, but I haven't.
What do you buy the man who's got everything?
A goldfish. Like he bought Ollie Watkins. Stick him a goldfish.
There's a lot of good comments coming actually about creative midfielder, which is a
clone of Jack Grealish. I'm a fan of that.
So I knew someone was going to say a plan B.
Yeah, plan B. I'll keep your comments going for what Dean Smith will get for Christmas, his birthday. Oh yeah, let's just get out of here.
We say plan B. I'm glad we got Gio and Lange now to get him an actual plan B rather than Sue. So we might have got him the actor come musician plan B.
Yeah,
just turned up.
Do you think he looked a bit like Steven Gerrard?
No, come off, man.
He looks more like you.
Who, plan B?
Yeah,
or Suso? Suso looks like Richard Madeley.
Yeah, you've got a bit of plan B about you 20 years ago.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, bald head.
Mine's more like plan OAP.
Plan Z.
I'm calling it a day there.
Yeah,
thank you very much for all those who tuned in live on Facebook or YouTube this evening, and thanks to everyone who watched this after the fact. If you're watching this not live, I don't know what you get out of this, to be honest. Surely the fun of these is the live element and chatting along with us. I don't know whether this nonsense resonates 2 or 3 days after the game or not.
Yeah, can you cut this bit out, just telling people not to bother watching it after the event?
No, I'm not saying. Well, if they've already listened to this part, then they've already listened to it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But thank you for watching, and do come back next time. We do appreciate it. Thanks to Matt and James for joining me, as always. Adam says, there you go, Dan, Matt's bald head mentioned again. I just can't resist. Every time I look at him, I just have to mention it. It's just, his head's so perfectly round. Don't you think, James?
There's a lot of pork discussions as well in the comments. What have you done to this podcast, man?
No.
Well, I'm going to go and have a pork chop in the bath.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm just ending it. I'm not even saying goodbye anymore. This is it.
Just do it now. Just do it mid-sentence.